Military Bowl. We got Wake Forest. Much like Boston College, didn't expect to see them in postseason. They won some games early that they weren't necessarily supposed to. A game against Duke, who's been a postseason team in recent years. Wake Forest squeezes in at 6-6, taking on a Temple team that won the conference. They're 24th in the country. They're sitting at 10-3. Sure, they lose their coach to Baylor, Matt Rule, but this Temple team accomplished quite a bit in the American. And again, it's a group of 5 top-tier team taking on a bottom-tier team from a Power 5.
This is a really interesting matchup here in the Military Bowl because you look at Wake Forest, they love to stop the run, and they love to run the football, and that's kind of what they hung their hat on. Temple's almost exactly the opposite. They've been pretty decent against the pass this year, and they love to throw the football. So it's completely contrasting styles in this football game. Temple's quarterback, Philip Walker, has been very good this year. He threw for 2,900 yards and 20 touchdown passes. Raquel Armstead for Temple has been running the ball extremely well, nearly 1,000 yards rushing, had 14 touchdowns on the year. This is a Temple offense. It's very good, can put up some points in a hurry, so Wake Forest is going to have to be prepared for that. Also, I think an underlying factor in this game are obviously distractions, right? Because you have Wake Forest coming off of this whole WikiLeaks scandal. Then you have the Temple Owls, of course, losing Matt Rule, who's now going to take over as the head coach at Baylor. So you got a coaching change on one side. You got all the distractions and you know, the sanctions being handed down, not really sanctions, more like fines for Wake Forest on the other side. And you've got a really interesting matchup here in the bowl game that nobody really knows, you know, which team's going to come out more motivated. So that's another underlying factor that we'll have to watch, and nobody will really know will happen here until the game takes place. On Wake Forest side, look, I mean, they love to run the ball. Like I said, Matt Colburn and Cade Carney have been the two guys that have really hung their hat on for most of the year. Matt Colburn is their leading rusher, 566 yards on the ground, but he's only scored once. John Wolford, he wasn't even really supposed to be the starting quarterback. He entered the season splitting time there at the position, ended up winning the starting quarterback job later in the year, and, you know, 1,500 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Obviously not a great thrower of the football. They really want to run the ball there. And you know, they wanted to run the ball anyway with quarterback Kendall Hinton before he hurt his ankle and went out for the rest of the season. And then they started throwing the ball around a little bit, and that's when Wake Forest got into trouble down the stretch. Obviously a pretty brutal schedule to close the season as well. 2 out of the last 3 weeks they had to face Louisville on the road and then played home against Clemson. Believe it or not, though, if you didn't catch the Louisville game, even though it was 44-12, Wake Forest was actually leading 12-9 entering the fourth quarter, and then just completely folded it really just folded up like a beach chair at that point. Louisville came in, nearly covered the spread in the fourth quarter. So this is a Wake Forest team that really is going to have trouble coming back if they get down by a lot of points, just because their offense isn't very prolific. And I think that's the problem they're going to face in this game. I think Temple comes in obviously red hot, finishing the season with 6 straight wins in a row, obviously beating Navy 34-10 in the finale there, to get themselves into the Military Bowl and you know, really end up in a bowl game that was really above their standard. Nobody was really expecting Temple, coming off of the 3 early season losses, to end up with 10 wins and kind of get an upgrade there into the Military Bowl. But they're nationally ranked at this point, sitting at number 24 entering the matchup. And I think there's just going to be too much offense by the Owls in this game. I think Wake Forest is going to have a hard time keeping up. But if Wake Forest is able to hang in close, I think it'll be because they run the ball, they keep the ball away from Temple, and they're playing solid run defense as well.
Mike McDaniel joining us from inside the ACC. Check us out on YouTube. It's Mark Rogers TV ACC. We will have a ton of college football previews, previewing and predicting the games involving ACC teams in postseason play.